Okay, so the 2025 Singaporean general election dust is settling, but something really stood out right after. Dr. Chee Soon Juan's reaction. He had just conceded in Sembawang West SMC.
Right, the single-member constituency?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But instead of just, disappearing for a while, which you might expect.
Yeah, typical post-election quiet time.
He immediately launched this new movement. It's striking, isn't it? Almost like the loss just spurred him on.
Absolutely, and that seeming contradiction, that's really what we want to dig into today. We've got some material looking at his response in this renew, rebuild, reignite movement.
Right.
So our mission here really is to try and unpack what this means. What's the significance? What could it signal about Dr. Chee's strategy, maybe? And are we seeing tiny hints of a shift in Singapore's political climate? What might it all mean looking ahead?
Okay, so let's start with the actual result in Sembawang West. The numbers we have show Dr. Chee got 46.81% of the vote.
Which is pretty substantial, actually.
It is substantial. He lost, though, to Paul Lisan from the PAP, who got 53.19%. So a loss is a loss, obviously. But this immediate comeback, this public launch, it feels different, doesn't it?
It really does. That immediacy is quite unusual. Normally you'd expect, some reflection, maybe planning behind the scenes.
Right.
Dr. Chee doing this suggests he wants to maybe keep some momentum going or build on the support he clearly got. And Sembawang West itself is interesting context, isn't it?
How so?
Well, it's a new constituency, relatively new anyway, created after the last boundary review.
Ah, right. So not much established voting history there.
Exactly. It's kind of a blank slate compared to older areas.
And wasn't this Paul Lisan's first time running solo?
That's right. Our sources mentioned that back in 2020, she was part of the PAP team in Sembawang GRC, the group representation constituency.
Where they contest as a team, yeah.
And her team won quite handily then, over 67%.
Okay, so seeing her majority shrink quite a bit in this one-on-one fight, even in a new SMC, that feels, significant.
It certainly feels noteworthy. And connecting that dot, that much tighter margin, it does make you ask the question, doesn't it?
Which is?
Are more Singaporeans, or at least voters in that specific area, starting to entertain the idea of a stronger opposition, a more vocal, reasoned opposition in Parliament, getting nearly 47%. That means his message clearly connected with a lot of people there.
And it seems like he's trying to build on that connection directly. The material points to his specific angle for this renew, rebuild, reignite thing. He's specifically talking about using reasoned argument and the force of logic, trying to position it seems, away from maybe the louder social media outrage approach.
Yeah, that's a very deliberate choice of words. In today's political climate, focusing on reason and logic, it's a distinct path.
Why do you think he's taking that specific tack?
Well, perhaps he's trying to appeal to voters who feel, turned off by more polarizing or maybe populist styles of politics. It could be a strategy to capture the middle ground, maybe.
Interesting. And the sources also mentioned he's not doing this alone. He has volunteers, supporters, the SDP team behind them.
Right, described as a dedicated group of Singaporeans answering the call of democracy.
And ordinary citizens who believe in change. It paints a picture of a grassroots effort, not just a top-down thing.
It does suggest that, building from the ground up. And we should remember, the SDP didn't just contest Sembawang West.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They were in other places, too.
Yep. Sembawang GRC, Marsiling UT GRC, Bukit Panjang as well.
And they didn't win any seats there either, huh?
No wins, no. But the fact they contested multiple areas, and Dr. Chee is launching this after those losses, it reinforces this message that they're committed for the long run.
Yeah, the phrase, in it for the long haul, really stood out. It suggests a certain resilience, doesn't it? Beyond just winning or losing a single election cycle.
Exactly, which brings us to some pretty big questions moving forward, I think.
Like what?
Well, first, how is this movement actually going to work, practically speaking? What will they do between now and, say, 2030? It's a long time.
Good point. Keeping momentum going between elections is always a challenge, isn't it?
Always. Can they genuinely engage voters, build those connections when there isn't an election looming? And the bigger picture question, is Singapore actually ready or becoming more ready for a parliament with a more significant opposition voice, a more balanced setup?
Those really are the key questions, aren't they? Can Dr. Chee and the SDP gain real traction in the years ahead? And will people respond to this focus on logic and reason? Especially when, let's be honest, louder, maybe more emotional messages often grab the headlines.
It's a real test case, you could say, a test of political strategy and maybe a test of where the Singaporean electorate is heading, or at least parts of it.
So if we try and pull this together, Dr. Chee's reaction, launching this movement right after the loss, it definitely signals he's not going anywhere. He's staying in the game.
Definitely shows continued commitment. And his strategy, this emphasis on reasoned argument, that's a notable choice.
And that tighter result in Sembawang West, while it's just one data point, it does perhaps hint at something shifting, however slowly.
It's a potential indicator, yeah. Something to watch.
So as you're thinking about all this, here's something to maybe chew on. What does it really mean when you see a political figure keep going, keep pushing, despite facing defeat multiple times? What does that persistence tell you about their motivation? And maybe even more broadly, what does this kind of sustained effort, this refusal to just fade away, suggest about how a country's political story might be evolving? That's something worth pondering, I think.